it's going to be a real problem.
Aside from resisting the policies of the Trump administration, is there anything you're doing or plan to do to help cities like Brockton, where funds are lacking at the public school district, which has complained about huge budget deficits that are restricting it, forcing it to lay off teachers and eliminate programs like middle school sports?
So there's a perfect example. Let me give you just one part of this. And that is, I assume everybody here, all the gateway cities, are familiar with the CDBG, Community Development Block Grants. I hear from mayors who come to me and talk about the importance of these grants, not because there is a specific thing that every mayor does with the grant, but for the very reason that, as mayors often describe it to me, this is the one block of money that comes in that is not already pre-allocated. So if I have a shortfall in the middle schools, they can use CDBG money to be able to plug the gap and keep teachers, if they have particularly an infrastructure with a collapse in water pipes that hadn't been budgeted for and they need emergency money, CDBG can be used. If they have an idea for a place where they want to invest, they see some houses that have been abandoned and they'd like the city to come in and be able to invest in them, to repair them, to create some affordable housing, maybe eventually to be able to sell it down, but you've got to have that upfront money. There are mayors who use CDBG money for that. So this is one of those things that helps cities like the gateway cities make it from year to year, and sometimes even have a plan, not just for how to fill in the gaps, but how to push forward. The Trump administration has proposed eliminating them entirely. And we'll fight that. But without CDBG grants, life gets a lot harder in gateway cities. Without CDBG grants, life gets a lot harder in Brockton. And so I use that as just one example of the kind of fight we've got going on at the federal level. Can I give you one more, since you specifically asked about schools?
Yes, big topic.
Public schools, the Department of Education. One of the reasons for the big fight over Betsy DeVos as Secretary of Education, and I hope you all saw, history was made. 50 people, meaning Democrats and Republicans, voted against Betsy DeVos, and she is the first cabinet official in the history of the United States who got confirmed only because the Vice President of the United States was hauled over in order to break the tie and vote in favor of her. But the big pushback against Betsy DeVos was fundamentally she doesn't believe in public education. And her initiatives are all around how to move kids out of public schools and into private schools, and how to move all of those dollars, those tax dollars, out of public schools and into private schools. And I want to be clear, not the way we've done it in Massachusetts, the way that she has helped lead the charge to do it in Michigan, which has been with virtually no accountability. So that there are charter schools in Michigan who have very little oversight, who have just destroyed educational opportunities for young people. And yet, it's very hard to put a charter out of business, to pull back their funding because of the way they've structured it. In fact, the Association of Charter Schools here in Massachusetts sent me a letter when DeVos was up for consideration, asking me to oppose her nomination because the way she supported charter schools, that is, charter schools without accountability, was not what we believe in Massachusetts, and it's not how you get the good results we've got. That's right, they give charter schools a bad name, and they give the work we've done in Massachusetts a bad name. I use that as an example because the question now comes, how much will the Department of Education invest in our public schools? And will they make sure that the money they invest goes to the schools that need it most? Or will they permit that money to be used in schools that, quite frankly, don't need federal aid to education?
We had a new charter school open in Brockton this year. Would you expect, in the school district and the teachers unions, talks about how it's taking money away from traditional public schools, would you expect this situation to intensify under the Trump administration, more charter schools in Brockton and places like it?
I think it's going to make it more difficult. Betsy DeVos has made clear her commitment to charter schools without constraints and without adequate supervision. And the Republicans just last week repealed a regulation that I had helped get in to the new authorization, the one that replaced No Child Left Behind, ESSA, the new one, that had some accountability provisions in it. And the Republicans have repealed that part of the bill, in effect writing a blank check to Betsy DeVos to be able to allocate money with more freedom. I think that's wrong. I think if they're going to get federal dollars, there needs to be some accountability for where that money goes, and it needs to be directed to the schools that need it
There's
most.
also a bill now in the House